somebody stays under a certain amount of dose, if they play with fire but they don't get burned. That's exactly what Adrian's pointing out, right? Like I'm not
right, but that's highly imprecise. So how much is the dosage?
It is in your current understanding of what I'm saying. The more important part that I'm trying to drive to is that dosing often leads to habits if the work does not precede it. If someone doesn't have a habit of pushing their seesaw down, doing hard things, then when they start doing easy things with an outside factor, they're going to naturally keep doing that. And one day they're going to overdose. Not overdose and die, but overdose and start getting depressed.
So I'll put this way, and this is personal experience. I've overdosed on purpose and not with substances that would potentially lead to, hospitalization or death. But I'll go hard on something knowing full well that the pursuant 2 to 3 days is going to suck really, really fucking hard.
Do you work out?
And I do fits and starts, yes.
Do you do hard things regularly?
I've done 30 push-ups on the space effect.
Before the first time,
I do absolutely nothing but hard things. Yes. Okay.
So before the first time you ever tried drugs, would you say people would generally describe you as somebody who was successful and worked really hard?
I mean, I started in my teens, so probably not at that point in time now.
So you feel like you started doing drugs in a heavy manner before you worked hard, and in teens people do work hard in school and stuff. So I don't think
I was a full blown degenerate at that point in time. Yeah.
Okay, so then what made you switch from being a full blown degenerate to working hard?
That's a fantastic question. I hate losing. I straight up like to win.
There are many people who are drug users who want to win, and that doesn't turn it around. So there's something missing in the story.
I mean, wanting to win and being driven to it is motivation enough for me to do whatever is necessary to manifest that reality.
So for me, for example, that's not the case at all. Like I actually have to actively force myself. Even if I want to win, I have to force myself because I want to win. But it's not something that's...
Well, so do I, Ada, but you're doing it, and that's what I'm saying, is I did that, back in the day as well.
So wait, so Ada, you don't want to win, so you just do it because it's necessary?
No, I do want to win. But
you have to push yourself to do hard things.
Exactly.
Right. The desire to win is what creates the initiative in you to do those hard things and creates the drive.
I absolutely hate working hard. I hate doing that shit.
I do too.
Yeah, you have to experience what's called mental frustration, right? If you don't feel that mental frustration, you're not doing the thing that causes you to later on receive dopamine.
All right. It's like when I work at a machine that's broken. It's like I don't like the fact that problems are real, but I like it when they're solved. Like when I've solved them. I don't like problems. I like when I've solved them.
Correct.
That's the dopamine hit of solving it. That's why we all enjoy video games too.
Right. Yep. But so what I'm trying to say is, just generally speaking, if you here's other ways to look at it. If somebody has easy access to money and drugs, and they have another situation where they could work hard and solve some puzzles and solve some problems and feel good about it, and they choose to go to the drugs that they have access to and keep going back to that well, they are not going to go to the puzzles. And the reason is because
Bafangu is the name of my favorite shampoo.
That if I can get the reward by doing the easy path, my brain is always going to choose that. So unless your brain doesn't operate like a neural network,
you must have a dandruff problem.
The reality of how things
I encourage you to try to use Head and Shoulders and get out from underneath.
I could buy enough drugs to kill a small town.
You keep making this fundamental mistake, right?
Hey, Valerie.
We're talking about
We're
once somebody
listening
has
to Elon
learned
Musk
how to
talk about
naturally get
drugs.
dopamine because they have found ways to do hard things and find success, the effects of drugs on them will be less. You don't hear a lot of stories of somebody
That's also
really hard.
Also incorrect. I mean, I'm
think it
giving
depends on the
you
drugs. I think it
experience and the
depends on the
experience of
drugs.
other functional people I know.
I think it depends on
It's just not true,
drugs. And there's certain drugs that will hit harder and hit less hard. Like, for instance, I think that if you have a really fucked up past and you do psilocybin, you have to be really careful because that past will visit you in a physical fucking sense. From your perception, anyway. It's not actually there.
Agreed.
But you're imagining things, and your imagination is a lot more powerful than people actually tend to understand or even realize.
Yes.
Hang on a second.
All right, so put your hand up if you've done psilocybin out of this group.
I haven't fucking done it because I heard what it can do to you. Oh, fuck, you done it? Oh my god.
Yes, I have.
I did not anticipate that.
This is why
yes,
but
also
the conversation
no.
once. I remember that. Remember we had the neurologist on? Yeah.
Bring up home math.
Oh yeah, sure. This is gonna be nice.
This is the thing people have to remember, right? Like, just because I make a statement, sometimes people assume a position rather than asking that, right? Always ask.
That's what I was saying. Like, I didn't think that he was trying to, like, I think, Paul, your interpretation was he was making a blanketed statement, when in reality he was just making a blanketed statement of a specific niche that you mentioned. Like, he was trying to basically cover for something that you mentioned and that you didn't have. It's like he wasn't attacking your basic ideology. He was just kind of correcting a part there.
No. I'm not taking it as an attack on anything at all. I'm arguing the counter position that drugs are not, explicitly bad. And
yeah, but there are the terms in this case. I think maybe even the majority too. It depends on the drug, of course, and that's what we were addressing.
Elon is high on ketamine, and that's why he doesn't sleep.
But it's not at the percentages that most people think they are.
Are we
mountain of misconceptions?
We're talking about relativism again, right? So relativism, I think that is where we land, and that's a good discussion. But unfortunately, a lot of times the relative part is left out of the conversation, and a lot of young people end up using drugs because it is, unfortunately, in our society, romanticized.
Yeah, which I will again. I'm going to repeat my original statement. Like, I'm not encouraging anyone that's listening to this at all, by any stretch of the imagination, to do any of this. My experiences and the experiences of people I know are not necessarily going to be your experiences, and I don't want anybody to go fuck their life up because they thought, oh, you know what, this might be a good idea. What I am saying is, just like, professionals that were talking about the vaccines and shit around COVID, there is a ton of fucking misinformation out there around these substances. And it's not too terribly difficult to do your own research and to approach life in a controlled manner and to keep your shit together if you're, a grown-ass adult in command of your own faculties.
I think that's not keeping in mind that many people have different traumas than you, Paul, right? People have very, very different experiences. And the dopamine ladder that I just described to you exists for every neurotransmitter, right? So what Adrian was saying earlier about ketamine, that's your oxytocin ladder, most likely. So you have to.
This is Elon's psychiatrist rationalizing his ketamine usage,
regulating our brains. We are all human beings. There's no human being that doesn't like sugar. There's no human being that won't like cocaine. It's just biology. The problem is sugar makes you fat. Too much sugar, not good for you. Yeah. Some things they're just not good for you.
It's too much cocaine's not good for you either. Blow up your bank account and your heart.
Wait, are you advocating for recreational cocaine? Like, what's
No, I am not.
I mean, Paul, are you advocating for recreational cocaine?
No, like I said, I'm not advocating for any of this at all. I'm just trying to make sure that we're having a full and complete discussion about it.
What is the topic? Is it drugs good versus drugs bad, or are we in the weeds on this?
It's that drugs bad is too imprecise, and it's a gray area.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'm on board with that.
I'm going to say that the argument is, if you aren't able to achieve the mental state that drugs get you on your own in some other capacity, then getting involved with that type of drug early in life almost always leads to bad outcomes.
that's.
I think that's a pretty accurate assessment.
too. Like you cannot possibly get anywhere close to like psilocybin or any other psychedelic. Naturally, you're not ever going to get to cocaine or amphetamine levels of excitement if you're not a straight up manic individual that's completely unbalanced to begin with.
This is scientifically inaccurate because we literally have MRI scans of Buddhist monks under an MRI and their brains light up more than people on psilocybin. So we know for a fact that that's not true.
It's actually possible to put yourself in a state where you like have all these weird drug-like experiences just naturally. Like I have once managed to walk outside of my body. I don't know how that makes sense. I don't know. I've done this. I was like able to relax. I was able to like tune in, tune out to the environment. It was very weird. You kind of like find this perfect balance. You just exist somehow, and then you just start to walk around.
Your astral.
I don't understand it. Yeah, it just happened. I was like, holy shit, this actually works. I sat down in front of myself. That was funny. And I was still able to control my physical body. Like I could think the thought and I made myself smile, which is like really weird. So I don't know.
Did you take notes?
So I guess
you should teach people how to do that.
You're the next Dolly, man.
It's in my brain. It's my brain. I don't need notes for that because it was just a thing. It's like a feeling that you have to achieve. It's actually very interesting because of late, it's been difficult. Like whenever I've tried to do this, it's like the environment is hostile. Like it's I don't know what's wrong with it. That's the only way I can describe it.
Bad vibes.
There's something wrong with the environment. There's something actually very wrong. I think I should try it again, but maybe also not. Like I just don't want to do it because like I've done it, and it was a very specific time. I think it was a time where the world was somewhat at peace, although it'd be an artificial one, like it was just before the storm. And then after that happened, like either my brain is a little bit more fucked than it had been previously, but I doubt that, or it's just that it's a reflection of the world around you, perhaps, right? So I think you can actually get these states, which otherwise you would only get via drugs, yourself. It just requires an insane amount of practice and maybe a little bit of whatever would be termed as insanity.
And sometimes, you need, if somebody gets into a very, very bad state and they're extremely depressed, using a drug to get them undepressed may be okay. Differing philosophies, maybe try things naturally first. But I don't want to judge people for the use of drugs in those situations.
Even with autism, right? Like, and of course I'm on the spectrum. I've never been on any drugs because I've been fortunate enough of two things. I have a brain that understands itself to a certain extent. I'm able to control my actions. I'm relatively high functioning. I still have troubling things that I just am capable of observing, but I just kind of work with it. It just is. It's a tool. You tame the storm. You understand it's there. I'm fortunate enough not to be one of those people who have to take drugs. I'm fortunate enough to not be schizophrenic, for instance, right? I'm very fortunate in that because I know people who are afflicted by this on multiple ends, and these people really do need certain types of stimulants and whatnot that help them with their actual problem. Because there is, from my understanding, not really much of a way that they can work with that, right? They're actually insane in that they cannot ever find this medium of sanity, like a way to kind of channel what you have to something useful. So that's where drugs, I think, are very important. So I'm glad that they exist and that they can be applied as such, right? Because I don't want to see people suffer.
Yeah, I agree. And
do you meditate at all?
Very varied.
By the way, Meta, did you see the post I sent you?
The one about China?
The one about DeepSeek.
I did not listen to the audio, but I thought it was a meme.
That is
I thought it was a meme.
It is a meme.
I'm in the space. I didn't have a chance to listen to that.
Right.
By the way, Meta, do you have Signal?
It's dying. I have to call it soon.
No, Signal the encrypted chat app.
Oh, yes, I did.
Wow. That was a good answer, actually. It's like, what the fuck?
I'll send it to Adrian so he can see as well.
Yeah, because we can add you on there. We have like a group chat for people who like to do tech related things.
Let's DM about
All right,
it.
as your preference goes. Yeah, no pressure.
Did we talk
I
about
just don't want to
this?
give out my I'll have to figure out a way to add myself without a phone number.
No, you don't have to give your phone number. You don't have to give your phone number to anyone. You just set it to private, your phone number to nobody, and then you just give them your username, and then they won't see your phone number.
Okay.
Yeah. Adrian, look at what I sent you.
Did you send it on Signal?
Yeah.
God damn it. I'm charging my other phone because, like, doing spaces, it just destroys your battery. It's fucking insane.
All right, I'll have to get going soon.
I got it.
Call it a night.
What the fuck is this?
All I have to say is while we were in the spaces...
Oh, I saw this, actually. Oh my
They released self-driving cars now.
Yeah, I saw that.
In the factory. That's pretty cool. For those that follow the earnings call tomorrow, I hope there's fun AI-related stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Earnings numbers, just AI-related stuff will be really
What's the
fun.
time of the earnings call again? Like in CT?
I think it's like 4:30 PST. Or sorry, EST.
What is it like?
Do it right at market close.
I think it's like an hour and a half or something like that after market close. Something like
Yeah,
that.
4:30 Central.
At 4:30 Central, gotcha.
Yeah, I think I can make that. Yeah. All right, let's convene tomorrow on that. We'll have a little earnings call discussion. I think we'll Bly's or whoever is the best setup. You can live stream the audio into here, and then afterwards we can cover. I think.
What do you guys think about the fact that $10 billion a year of NVIDIA's income comes from Singapore?
I think the Singapore data center is very close to China.
That's probably one of the best ways I could have answered what was in my head.
I mean, let's put it this way. Singapore, like Hong Kong, is outside the firewall.
Uh-huh.
Yet that hasn't really, Did you guys see? I put some tweets up as well. There's a guy who posted an image to X a while back with like a crazy like diary thing. I didn't really bother to read what was in there, but it was clearly very unique. Some unique thoughts. And then they asked DeepSeek about that, and voila, it had the answer, meaning they scraped X. Also, they have shown that there's a lot of good evidence that they just straight up copied a lot of OpenAI teachers. Students.
Oh yeah. There was one guy.
I think
it was Bone GPT. He prompted it a certain way, and then he got it to say, as an OpenAI, as a model designed by OpenAI. I'm like, what the fuck?
To be fair, no, that's not necessarily meaning that they took it from OpenAI.
The same thing has also happened to Grok at some points, like the previous versions of Grok, because the ChatGPT itself and people, the way that they use it, has inundated the platform. And actually every internet space that exists has been completely polluted by AI-generated text. It's fucking disgusting. Like, our brains have been trained to basically scan for this kind of stuff, look at it, and like try to figure out whether or not this guy's like sending you bullshit. Even when I see DMs, I instantly can tell whether or not it's AI. I could probably even narrow it down to the model. It's fucking horrible.
Soon, not today, but another day, I would love to walk you through how that signature testing works, and it has to do with the probability distribution for each of the models. It's pretty cool because as much as people think you can't figure out where the text is coming from, you really can, actually. It's like the typewriter thing where given enough text, you can actually figure out which model this stuff came from. So I'm pretty sure...
It's almost like people as well can tell. It's like some people want to pretend to be Satoshi, for instance, and then they type a certain way in their post and be like, yeah, that motherfucker's not Satoshi.
It's like neural nets have fingerprints. It's pretty cool.
I think it's just because it's the same way with people in general as well, right? Because I like have personality. I think to a certain extent, whatever that personality is somewhat like mimicked by the system, because it's like it seems to be this midwit. It's like as if you took every single exceptional midwit and you put them into a blender, and then that's the output. What do you
Hold
think?
on. I have one last statement. Now that we know all humans have individualized neural fingerprints, clearly Tesla Q was always right, and you are someone else. I'm kidding. Have a good night.
Oh my god! Wow, dude, that's a nice trap. That's a brilliant trap, dude. I'm so glad, dude. We can be so happy that you're not on the Tesla Q side, because holy shit, you could have like steered them into directions. Oh my god!
If I
what happened?
Dude, 100%, man. Alternate version of this. Oh.
If I was like Tesla Q, and I was like, I really believed in like the opposite of stuff, it'd be kind of funky to try and argue the other side.
Oh my god, dude. You'd have to be paid to do that shit, because I was like, no way that you could actually defend that kind of logic.
Anybody who's smart enough to like reason through logical arguments and like dissect someone in an argument would not logically conclude the other side of the argument.
Exactly. Like it's even it's like when a reality becomes so blatant that you're like, oh yeah, this really is real. Like with you remember what happened with Reddit, like just after the election, where people just gained self-awareness on that app because they were like, wait a minute, if all of this shit was true, if the majority really was in the other direction, but this happened, and we can't deny the election because even mathematically it works out.
Yep.
Maybe we are in an echo chamber. It was the funniest thing for me. I didn't even think that was pathetic. I just think when I saw that, that was actually kind of sad. Because can you imagine, like, they spend all that time in an echo chamber, like, reinforced by bots? That's really fucked up.
A lot of people that spend time on Reddit, that, like, most people on Reddit don't leave any comments, right? So, or write anything, because they never get any karma, so they just kind of give up. So
Yep.
when you're just looking at the posts that are on there, and they have no idea about the fact that the Reddit bots there are making sure that everything is censored and has a certain agenda and all of that bullshit. They have no idea, but it does. And only when that happened did they come in and realize, oh wait, we are in an echo chamber.
They choose it though. People who get caught in echo chambers choose it. They all have opportunities to trust people that they should trust, like their grandparents or strangers on the internet who are saying cool things, and they want to be cool, and that's why they end up there.
I love trusting strangers on the internet that say cool things. That's the way.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot more fun. For sure.
Fuck yeah.
Oh man, there's something I've been meaning to ask you. Like, you of course have work and such. Would you be somewhat open to telling us what kind of work that is? Because you have to be somewhat analytical. Sure. You have to deal with a lot of data. Mm-hmm. You're almost like an accountant, but you're not really an accountant because you have personality. So, like, yeah, what are you?
Well, do you mean to ask me what I do other than my internet personality, or do you mean like to what is be the label for what I do? So what's what I do other?
What do you do for work, basically?
So I very, very little. I've made most of my money from I've made more money from Lyft and Uber and unemployment than I have made from anything that I actually went to school for. I've had a very hard time finding real work. I majored in communications, and I went to school for developmental psychology for grad school. And I've only worked in my field for I think a little bit over 4 years in a W-2 job, and then another 3 years freelance. And aside from that, it's been all writing for this and that and political advertising and little bits and pieces. But for a long time, I was just driving Lyft and Uber. So now this is all I do for money. So I'm a big, important internet man, and I make 6 or 7 times as much as I used to make.
I literally thought you were I thought you were like me, where you had some sort of hidden aspect about yourself where it kind of defines what you understand and what you can do, but you can't talk about it, otherwise people figure it out, what you are and who you are.
I can talk about
Do you have that also?
I can talk about it a little. I can't name certain specifics, or else it'll just be really, really easy to narrow down who I am, although I know some people know anyway, but it'll make it easier. But I went to school for developmental psychology, and when I was done, I continued studying Ken Wilber's integral theory, and my framing of dating and other sort of social phenomena through integral theory is a large part of what makes me good at what I do. That's kind of my thing. It's kind of like understanding consciousness.
Right.
If that is an answer to your question.
That's definitely the answer. In terms of capability, anyways, because I know you can't reveal what you do, but I feel like the thing that you do is vague enough that it can intersect with the internet perfectly and not reveal who you are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's like, this is all I do anymore. So, what I
my problem is I don't have a persona. That's why, like, when people started to actually narrow things down, you can narrow things down pretty quickly. Because I like the person who I am on the internet is also who I am in real life. I don't split personas because I feel like the mental strain that comes with it is not worth the outcome. So, like, why don't you just be two things at the same time? So you can maxi one thing and be very good at that one thing and basically be super cracked effectively. It's like, that's the best way to put it.
The people who found who I am, they were just watching TikTok, and they just said that I have a cousin who just was like, "Is that my cousin?" And then he called me and he said, "Is this you? Do you have 500,000 followers on TikTok?" And I said, "Yeah, don't tell anyone." So
this is like how people around me discovered it also. Yeah, we're like, wait a minute, this guy this has your exact name. He sounds like you. I'm like, yeah, that's probably, I don't know. I denied it for a little bit until eventually it was so big that I couldn't deny it anymore. Like, oh, hey, by the way, what's up? I'm like, fuck's sake. You like found a clip. The problem was I like did something in a Tesla space once, and so this guy, his name's Gordon Johnson, and he comes up with like takes which are very illogical to a certain extent as well. So it's the factor because he doesn't reveal his sources. You know that thing that everybody says, well, they've made shit up.
Yeah.
So that, and I basically decided, you know, hey, I'm going to press him on this thing because I'm the only person who can really do that without pissing people off too much because I already piss people off as it is. So I go in there and I say, hey, man, what are your sources? And then bro just fucking leaves. And that was a funny thing because everybody loved that, right? Because they always wanted to see somebody put them in their place. They were like kind of networks that didn't want to ruin somebody's space. And I knew that guy was going to like crack, that guy was going to like do something extreme because if you confront someone so blatantly, there is really no way out. So bro just decided to run.
Yeah.
And that's what was kind of mimetic. So I ended up in like somebody's, it's like Stephen Mark Ryan, actually, yeah. So I ended up in one of his Tesla videos because he could produce them quite often. And he was there and somebody watched it and found me there. I was like, wait a minute, this really is you. And I was like somewhere else. And they sent me the video and I was like, what is this? Lying is a problem. You can probably lie for the right reasons, but realistically speaking, the truth is something unbelievably powerful, and the obfuscation that comes with people not believing it is more powerful than any lie. Yeah, because the truth exists. You can just deny it exists. Sure, but it still exists there. You can't do anything about it because that's what's real. So I told people.
I just show up as I am.
Yep. In your case, you can do that. My problem was.
Did I disconnect? Is everyone just quiet?
Yeah, can you still hear me?
We can hear you. Can you not hear us?
Yeah, he's just saying.
I can't hear anything anymore. I might be having connection problems.
Okay, drop him and bring him back. Actually, let me. Oops, fuck, wrong button. Let me bring him back up.
Yeah.
Okay, I dropped him. See if I can bring him back.
I invited him.
Perfect. It happens. It's a Periscope thing. It's normal.
I had somebody ambitious message me from our earlier conversation asking what the idea was. I'm like, rewrite a new Periscope, make it better.
This fucker. It's funny.
I actually think they should rewrite all of X from scratch.
Yeah, there's a very particular opinion on that. Do you still see Homath, by the way?
I saw him in the listener. Oh, there he is. He's in speaker now.
Perfect. It happens. It happens. No, it's not your fault in any way. That's just a thing with this protocol where basically every connection to it is unique to a certain extent. It's like signatures, it seems to be. That's how it works. And like everything is connected to everything, which is really annoying. And a lot of problems occur because of that. Right. So if you're connected to this and there's a little bit of a problem with that connection, it doesn't understand that it has to reconnect automatically. And so it just basically stays disconnected for a couple like seconds, about I think 60 seconds or so, and then you just automatically get kicked from the instance.
It sounds like, well, I don't know. I don't know enough about technology to comment on that. It sounds like it sucks.
Yes, and it sucks even more to use it yourself directly, for multiple hours, because like at some point the space glitches to the point where literally you cannot use parts of it, especially for the host, even if you switch devices, which is funny. So you can do that. That's pretty good. So sometimes use on desktop, sometimes desktop is actually pretty good. The only problem is the amount of animations that happen in spaces, for instance, because people like agree, disagree with like emojis, that shit will just destroy the interface on the desktop. Don't do this, by the way. Just the fact that I say this, I'm kind of regretting it. You could do this hypothetically. It's not really going to work because at some point the emoji feature is just going to break and stop showing up. So you just basically are going to solve the problem itself in a funny way. Right, but don't do this. Don't go around us spamming things now. Actually, people are doing it anyway, so it crashes automatically. But I'm just saying, that's what's happening.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Where were we stuck at? We were speaking about.
I was talking about Jordan Peterson.
About identities, living a lie.
Oh yeah, identities. Right. By the lies, you never get away with anything, and you sort of talk about Jordan Peterson because that's kind of where it came from, I believe.
Yeah. I don't remember. I don't know. What was the last thing you guys heard? But it was the point I was making was that that people try to live lies, and you can't do it because the truth doesn't shut off when you tell a lie. So they're forced to deal with it anyway. And so there's this eternal struggle kind of between. I don't know, the way I experience it is I have always been a very big truth teller, and people have not liked that because it's super uncomfortable a lot of the time, like to autism levels. Yeah, and I'll just go like, no, that's not what she's doing. And then people will go, you have to get out of here. And
and the amount of times that has happened, yeah,
exactly.
Very relatable.
Yeah, so that's what we just experienced over the last few years. That a lot of people were living a lie to fit in, and the bill has come due.
Yeah, I think to a certain extent, like the problem with this is having to live a lie is just to like survive even. For instance, when it came to like say specific political views, I've had to do my very best to stay as neutral as possible. And I am still technically neutral. Like I will call out any side for their shit. It's a very nice position to have. However, I do have values. And if these values are sometimes interpreted as being more lenient to one side than the other, then that's just their interpretation. But it's not really how the alignment chart works. Right. Because my alignment is to things other than what the population deems in connection to something political. I don't care about that. I care about the economy. And if something's being done that doesn't lead to like a net gain, net positive for humans in general and everything else around us, then that's something I will disagree with, no matter what side it comes from.
Right. Yeah, it's very rational. It's just a very like objective way of thinking that virtually nobody on Earth is on board with.
Yeah. And it's actually kind of funny because then both sides will not really like you as much. Yeah. Right? Because part of either drives they have to make your own. So that's why you have to like disguise things in a sense where you'd be like, okay, I'm just not going to talk about that. Oh, hey, what about, hey, who did you vote for? I say, well, I don't vote. And I don't actually, that's the truth. I don't even pursue it. Right? So I'm extremely political in a sense.
That's a dating meme. Like, girls will not date guys who say they're apolitical because it means Republican.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. It's a fun meme. Yeah. It's actually even true to a certain extent because you have to be apolitical. Because you can't lie because that's kind of pathetic and it's going to fuck you over eventually. So you just stay neutral. And you do it for the benefit, right? It's your choice, That you're being judged for it is kind of weird. That you're being crucified for it is even worse. It's just terrible. And then there's the mathematics of it, like the sheer percentage of women that are liberal, and they're all looking for this tiny number of liberal guys that are not like 5'2", and overweight with like Coke bottle glasses. They're all figured out just small number of guys. And there's these perfectly good guys who just disagree with you politically, and they're like, no, I won't even speak to you. And then they're
what the hell is this all about? So, this video is about levels.
It's actually kind of right and wrong because what you just described
because of the way that they focus on acceptable behavior
either they will go very hard in one direction or very hard in the other, because then they just basically
tell how the second person perspective is coming online and children because they start look.
You can't hear anything. Wise, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear everybody, so I don't know what's going on.
Alright. Okay, hang on. Maybe let me restart real quick.
This motherfucker is high on ketamine and I want to go to sleep. Fucking Elon doesn't sleep. The guy's just on X all night long talking a whole ass.
By the way, we are so back.
I don't think it's you, Adrian. I've heard you the whole time. I've heard Blaz the whole time.
Yeah,
it's I was just losing my radio.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Where were we at? Right. Thing that you're like either date someone who's very far in one direction, like either really far left or someone who's really far right. And to an extent that they can't even be classified to be on the right anymore, they're just basically misogynists, right? You have like people who are absolute pussies or you have like absolute misogynists, right? That's like the dating market. Which is really fucking stupid. Because one is just incompetent and the other one is incompetent and dangerous. Dangerous in that they will destroy you just because they can, and the other one's dangerous because they can't do shit, right?
Yeah. They're people are not generally skilled enough at opposing something without just going to the opposite. There's a skill that I don't know what to call it, but I'm gonna have to incorporate into something that I do at some point where if someone tells you to do something, if someone is like, stand up and you don't want to, and what you do is just the exact opposite on purpose as you sit down, is you're still letting them control you, but just by doing the opposite of what they want. You have to detach and do what you would have done anyway. And that's not something that occurs to most people when like political tensions are high. They'll say, do this, and people go, I'm going to do the opposite of that. And it's just as bad, if not worse sometimes.
So doing the exact opposite is obstinance. Doing whatever the hell it is you were going to do anyway is called agency.
Yeah. Yes, people lack agency. Yep. That's the perfect word for it. Thank you. People lack agency in large numbers.
I think the reason why they lack agency, also the fun thing, the large numbers thing, I'll get into that in a little bit, but they lack agency because they lack self-awareness. And I think they lack self-awareness because they actually lack the understanding of self. And they don't have an understanding of self because they're always forced to be a part of the greater whole.
Yeah, there's a lot of social pressure. There's also some IQ limitations. It can be difficult. It can be difficult to obtain self-awareness either quickly or in high levels without sufficient just raw brain power. But yeah,
it kind of destroys me, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like if you don't have the ability to deal with it. That's actually also when you see pop culture, literal pop culture, is it being designed for the average, right? Because that's the only way you can make it economically viable. That's why I think pop culture is only relevant for people who want to control the masses, to understand it from that perspective. That's why I like look at pop culture, because I want to understand the masses, how fucked I am. Right?
Yeah.
That's one of the early reasons why I do that.
They can't make the largest possible amount of money if they don't design it for the exact center of the bell curve.
Exactly. So actually, you're getting access to something very interesting because you have like a different level of agency where you actually understand the psyop at large and how effective it is by the type of content that people ingest and actually agree with. So it's actually quite cool to see it from that level.
Yeah.
But the thing is, in pop culture, you see always like these memes. These memes, for instance, with Futurama, where somebody regains this amazing amount of self-awareness. Let's say, for instance, where they parodied, what's it called, Minority Report? I'm pretty sure you may remember Minority. Right, we have like
yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so you of course have the Oracle, right, and then you have a parody version of that. Same thing. Except this thing is so smart that it orchestrates the perfect crime, so it can consume the super pure alcohol, so it can destroy its brain.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what people think about it as. They're like, oh wow, I just gained all the self-awareness. Holy shit, the world is insane. I can't live with this. Must destroy brain. And then people get drunk and they get high. They do all other kinds of things to themselves, right?
Yeah.
So I think that comes with if you don't have like the power to deal with it somehow, just to kind of rationalize it, literally rationalize it, then you don't want to have self-awareness or at least a higher level of it, because it will just kill you.
Yeah. There was some philosopher who said that something about, you know, how in old-timey speak, he was like someone who knows much but hasn't power or whatever. That's the most miserable kind of man in the world. If you know everything that's
something about the crown. What was that again?
What was it?
Like the crown weighs heavy on you, something like that.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. Yeah, it's like with responsibility. Like it's but I think it's a good. They refer to it within the context of responsibility. Whereas I think it actually doesn't. It works not just for responsibility, but knowledge in general, and both those things combined. Mm-hmm. So I think it's actually a very versatile metaphor. And ironically enough, the people who lack agency will tell you, "Oh no, you cannot do this. You cannot create your own interpretations of the work that's been interpreted by the academics." I'm like, yeah, yes, I can, because I'm an asshole.
Yeah. It's just the mind will do what it will do, and you're just pretending that yours isn't doing it.
Yes. Yeah. Or at least you want to keep other people from coming up with different solutions. Like, for instance, when you're in school and you're like, are given this problem by the teacher, and the teacher has this problem for you, you solve it, but you solve it in a way that's completely unconventional. And even if it is unconventional yet more efficient, the teacher will say that it's wrong because it's not their solution. And ironically enough, there's two reasons for why: because they have to follow protocol and they're ignorant of anything that improves things, or because they generally don't understand how to solve the problem either, and they're just writing from an answering book.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the answers
almost 100% certainly the latter, because and no, it's all intended here, but 95% of people that are in a position to just teach and are operating from a book are not critically thinking in the first place, and that's how they got there.
It's the accepted problem, and I think that there's a problem with its acceptance, but like it's the accepted problem of those who can't teach. Like, if you can't do it, you ought not to be able to teach, I think, in my opinion. Like, you just can't teach, sure, okay, but you have to be actually able to do something. Otherwise, you are not allowed to teach it. I think personally that should be a thing. Like, if you're teaching engineering, you cannot be an engineer, then why the fuck are you teaching engineering? And I think this would have good.
Apparently, Elon didn't think this one all the way through.
It's just connecting on my screen.
Yeah, he shows his listener.
Here he's just fine. I see you as host.
No, I'm into math. You're back.
Math. He's listener. I'm re-inviting him right now.
Right. This is crazy. Hi.
You just have to do it 3-4 times. It happened to me a whole bunch of times too. So hopefully you're good now.
I don't know if we got anywhere else. I was gonna say, I don't know if this happened to any of you, but did you go to elementary school with a bunch of teachers who were just basically the people who lived nearby who couldn't do anything else?
I think I kind of had that experience, except that I went to kindergarten and they pulled me out in like less than 2 weeks because I simply refused all orders.
Yeah.
Like I became an NPC. I became so like here's a problem. I saw that everybody else was an NPC. I tried to fight it to a certain extent, and I said, I cannot do anything productive here. It's extremely boring. I'm away from my toys. This is a 6-year-old kid, by the way, speaking. Of course. And I was like, we can spend the time here by simply skipping it. So I'm going to turn my brain off. I literally decided to become such max NPC that was too NPC for the other people to even control as an NPC. It's like when you have a really bad character in a video game, that's kind of what that's like. You know, you talk to this thing you don't want to deal with, right? That's what I became for a minute there because I literally couldn't think of a different way to deal with this. I couldn't reason with them because they're just not going to listen to you because you're a fucking kid. Even though your logic is sound, there's no way you can actually persevere because you're a fucking 6-year-old. What are they going to do? Listen to you? There you go.
So you tried to get those quests, but they wouldn't accept your quest. They thought you were just flavor text.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So I decided, 2 things. Ignore everything, follow all the instructions, and sleep under tables, which worked. Got sick a bunch of times. Because and it's funny because I'd randomly have these moments where the self-awareness just breaks through. Like they told me, hey, run in the crowd. And I ran with that crowd. And then all of a sudden I was like, what the fuck am I actually doing here? And I stood there and everybody trampled over me. So it's kind of funny. I have a long history of just doing things. Because I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? What are we doing actually? By the way, Blythe, do you want to bring it back again?
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, I'll do it.
Boy. Okay, next thing. Threaten the internet connection. Boy, if you don't perform right now, you know.
I think I'm gonna just try again another night. I'm having trouble connecting. I'll use my phone next time or something. But good chat.
Okay. Yeah, sure, 100%.
All right.
Anyways,
thanks for having trouble. Yeah, I'll see you next time.
Awesome.
Chat, man.
Like, I think in general we could probably just shut the conversation down. What do you guys think?
Sure, why not? Yeah.
It's 20 at 3. I should probably go to sleep.
Yeah. Still like 2 people up here. Everybody is like there, but everybody is like slowly falling asleep, and I'm the only one who's left